We're sending data. All right, we are officially live. Welcome everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much. My name is Mario Aldiz, and I am the head of partnerships here at HL Pro Tools. So, what we are going to be talking about today is we are going to be doing an agency audit to start off with. And what that means is we are going to go through the process of setting up an agency and making sure that we have every little bell and whistle covered. There are a lot of important pieces to building out an agency that we often overlook. And in overlooking them, we either set ourselves up for a handicap in the future, or we set ourselves up ultimately for failure. When I say failure, I mean that we are potentially missing out on some revenue opportunities. So I know I've been in the back end of a lot of the agencies here, and we've talked a lot about different things in the HighLevel ecosystem. We've troubleshot a lot of issues, but we really haven't focused in a while on the foundational aspects of HighLevel. So that's what we are going to work on today. So let's get started here in 2 minutes. Just getting a couple more people joining in today. Thank you again for everyone who's joined on time. One of the cool things I just want to say really quick, I announced this on Friday, but a very important note is that moving forward in the first 5 minutes of our call, we may or may not be releasing some freebies like snapshots, custom coaching offers, playbooks, all sorts of things, access to different trainings that are usually paid. So those are only going to be available in the first 5 minutes of the call, just to make sure all of the early birds and people who are consistent with coming to the calls are rewarded for their attendance. If you have not joined our community yet, which is community.ghlcoaches.com, I will drop that in the Zoom chat. You can register for all of these coaching calls at ghlcoaches.com. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow you to set up reminders. It's going to text you a couple times, send you some emails. Nothing overwhelming. You can always say less instead of stop, which will reduce the frequency of those notifications. Our community is so far is pretty amazing. We've only had one person come in and spam, which I quickly removed, but we've got about 400 people in the community so far. And my goal is to hit over 1,000 by the end of the month and really start to get things to a good point from a collaboration standpoint. One of the things I've really appreciated about the last few calls, especially this Monday call, is we've had a lot of collaboration amongst the members on the call. So be sure to raise your hand, use the Zoom chat if you really need to interject because you have some sort of urgent news. Feel free to jump in and just unmute yourself and kind of barge in there. But generally speaking, it's best practice to use the react button at the bottom to go ahead and raise your hand. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We are just at 5:06. So Julia, if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen, let's go ahead and start going through your agency.
Okay. So this was the steps that I went through. And then I got my domain through Namecheap. And then this is the agency side of things.
Okay, cool. So do you mind if I request screen control from you?
Please take control.
She's like, Jesus, take the wheel.
Yes, please.
Okay.
I started talking and I was like, oh my God, am I going to be the one talking? I
No,
panicked for like a minute.
no worries at all.
There was a couple things I did get hung up on and I do have questions on, but I wrote them down, but we'll just get to them whenever we get to them.
Okay, perfect. And like I said, everyone, if you have questions or you want to make some comments, feel free to raise your hand or drop them in the Zoom chat. I am monitoring those as well as the live stream. That's the perk of having three monitors. So the first thing that I noticed when I log into your agency, and this is really more of a nitpick on design, is your logo is almost unreadable.
I know.
And
I made, I made it last night. I changed my branding and everything over last night, and I just made it super generic and quick, so I had something to throw in here for today.
no, you're totally fine.
But please tell
But
me.
so one of the things that you want in the branding for your agency, so you see how up here at the top it says where my right here at the top it says conversion agency right there under the app.gohighlevel.com or above that. So that's the title. So you don't really need the title in the logo itself. What
Okay.
you want is that icon is actually a pretty solid icon from an iconography standpoint. So if you were to remove that conversion agency text and just have the icon and blow the icon up into a square, and then also make it a transparent background. Now you have two options. You can either go with the dark high level theme or the light high level theme, and this applies to all of your sub accounts. So if you're going to go with the dark high level theme, which is what you currently have enabled, you would want to make the icon white. So instead of being orange, you'd want to make it white. Now, if you go with the light version, then you can use the orange.
Okay.
But it kind of depends on how you want that branding to feel. HL Pro Tools also has a theme builder that can really jazz up and that comes even on the $97 plan. But the theme builder gives you the ability to jazz up your agency's dashboard and the overall, like, you can do everything from the shadows to the fonts to the icons on the left to colors, like all that different stuff. Um, the other thing I notice is that yes, you can absolutely just get the theme builder. I believe it's 7, 8, or 697 one time for life. Don't quote me on that, but I can definitely get resources if anyone's interested. But the $97 plan comes with a bunch of other benefits. Anyways, in the top right, you have your profile. So let's go ahead and drop down really quick into your profile. And let's take a look at your actual profile setting. So your logo for this conversion agency, I would recommend putting a picture of you
Okay.
just to differentiate between team members. It helps to humanize, like this shows up in the conversations UI. It shows up when you are co-editing funnels and workflows as opposed to just being a text icon. Using a hello at is going to reduce your deliverability when you're sending emails. So one thing that may be, are you on G Suite by chance?
No, so I just made what did I do? I added the emails to Namecheap, and then I just did like a pass through and a catch all.
Gotcha.
So if you go to
So,
manage, I haven't set that up yet. I was
okay.
close, but I just
So G Suite is like $6 to $7 a month
yes.
per account. And you can have multiple aliases for yourself in the same account. So what you would do is you'd set up Julia at conversionagency.co, and then you would set up alias, and we can totally walk through this together on a call. You would set up hello, support, no reply, like all the common aliases as an alias of your main inbox. And you don't pay for those aliases. You only pay for the one inbox. And then you can use folders to and filters to farm the traffic out to their appropriate pseudo inboxes. But what that does is it gives you the ability to have your cake and eat it too when it comes to email stuff. Um, but it is important, like when you, especially from a password reset standpoint, that you have a real inbox associated with it. Because if you get locked out and your phone's not working for whatever reason, HighLevel doesn't like sending password resets to non like official email addresses. So just keep that in mind.
Right. Okay, so if they send it to this, I'll still get it in a Gmail account. I just have it set
Yep.
up as a pass through for right now until I get my G Suite and stuff set up.
Perfect.
Um, but you said hello has a less deliverable rate. Is that what you said? Or more
Because
likely to be in spam?
yes, because it's considered a catch-all or it's considered a nameless inbox.
So they want like a regular person's name in there.
Correct.
Had no idea.
Yep.
Amazing. Okay, cool.
Um, so the next thing we're going to go to, which I appreciate the fact that you have your phone number in there. That's really important as well. So just keep that in mind. Matt asked a question, is using the GHL email suite not recommended, or is that just because it's limited to one email address? You need a third party email system. You cannot under any circumstances use G Suite. I mean, use GHL's email system as your primary inbox. It will not function properly. There are some super hacky ways to get around that, but none of them result in saving $7 being worth it. So let's look here. It's totally fine to have in your company email the hello@conversionagency.com. So that's fine. You focus on home services, air conditioners.
Yeah, I just couldn't find anything under there that was fit more what I was trying to do, so I just left it at that if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
What is your time zone?
Central.
So the reason this is important is because this is going to trigger
The
certain
calendar.
notifications and calendars and things like that. And it's the default time zone for when people sign sub accounts up. You've got everything turned on. One note, some people turn this template library for clients off. I prefer to have it on. Like when I sign up sub accounts, I give people unrestricted access to the platform. So, but it's entirely up to you in terms of whether or not you want to leave that enabled for your customers. Um, let's go to white label settings. Now, oh, one quick note, guys. Whenever you refer to your agency to HighLevel, like if you open a support chat or you're talking to someone in the Facebook community, your relationship ID is your identifying number for the agency itself. It's not secret. It's not like a social security number. If someone has your relationship ID, they can't get access to your stuff. This is just your unique identifying number for your agency itself. So that's where you find your relationship number. The next area we're going to go into is your white label. We already talked about your logo, so I'm not going to harp on that. I will harp on the shame
I
that
couldn't
you.
get it connected. I don't know why. I tried.
Okay, so do you want me to try and connect it really quick for you?
Yes, this was one of my questions. I don't know if it was because I was tethering off my phone or what.
So I will say good job on having the API domain. That's something that people normally forget in the beginning. The API domain and the white label domain are absolutely critical aspects of white labeling the CRM, as well as accessing certain tools and resources. So there are things that function in your white label account that do not function in app.gohighlevel.com. So um, you definitely want to have both of those set up. The API domain is what the trigger links will send from and what the calendar links will be from. If you don't have a branded domain configured on the sub account, we'll get into that part a little bit later. But just remember, you always want to have those domains completely filled out. Yeah, man. So what we're going to do is we're really quickly just going to add a DNS record to her account. And the DNS record is going to point her white label domain to the right place. So let's take a look here. Okay, so you got email forwarding, a text record. And you've got, so you want it to be my, not app.
App is fine. I'm open to whatever.
It sometimes can take, 30 seconds to, in my case today, I registered a domain and it took 12 hours for it to show up. Um, so sometimes it can take a little bit longer, but for most providers like Namecheap, GoDaddy, Cloudflare, places like that, they're usually pretty quick. So we'll just give it a second here while we're letting that update. Make sure I don't have to
Do we,
save it at the bottom.
no, do we need a refresh on Go High Level or does that not matter?
No, 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 that doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pulling the live record. It just, so there's actually a platform called What's My DNS.net. And What's My DNS.net will tell us where the status is. So we're going to do app.conversionagency.co. Killer domain, by the way. And we'll test this. And okay, it's starting to resolve. So you can see the little red X's just mean there are certain places around the world where it hasn't shown up yet. So that usually, if you have like margin share green check marks, you're usually pretty good.
Okay.
You can basically just hit this button every like 30 seconds until it works, and it's not going to hurt anything.
Okay.
All it's doing is going out and checking the internet. Now, if you do it for like a couple minutes, which if it continues to do it this time, then we'll just bypass this and
I
come
wrote
back
it
to
down.
it.
I wrote it down so I can go back to it. Oh, it did it.
Oh,
Okay.
there we go.
Cool.
So now you have your white label domain set up, and you also have links.conversionagency.co set up. When you set up, so your API domain, to Courtney's point, can be like, I use L dot my domain name. I actually have some really short domains that are just random letters that I use for my API domains because they're easier to type. So I have like link or lnk.io and some other really short domains that I use for my API domains. But you can use links, you can use link. I've seen people use API, dot domain name, dot TLD, like whatever you want to put in there. It's not, don't put in GHL, don't put in HighLevel, don't put anything that would breach white label because, again, your customers are going to see this domain, especially when they first configure things. Google login is something that I do recommend turning on. This allows easier sign in for your customers. It's a federated login system as well, meaning that if you have multiple agencies that you work with, so this is specific to like freelancers and contractors and things like that. If you have multiple agencies you work with, you can share the same email and password across those agencies to log into all of them. You're just presented with uh, a menu of places to log into. I like having Google login turned on. You do want to update your privacy policy and terms and conditions URL. Do you have either one of those?
I don't. And it's because I couldn't get my website built because I couldn't connect the domain because I don't think I could have I didn't, the white label domain wasn't in here.
Gotcha. Okay, we'll take a look
So,
at that as well.
yeah. But I have that
So
wrote down on my list of things to do. So,
termly.io, and I'll drop that in the Zoom chat. Termly.io is probably one of the best opportunities for getting the privacy policy and terms and conditions. So just keep that in mind. You have this area down here. This is where we start getting into power user mode, custom JavaScript, and custom CSS. These are essentially areas where you can place special information that will manipulate things in your agency, both stylistically and functionality wise. So when you are, nope, don't grab that one. Okay, there we go. When you are ready for like HL Pro Tools, or you're ready for another third-party support vendor or something like that, you're gonna find that they'll have you place some custom JavaScript in there. Don't be afraid if an error message pops up and says, "Hey, by the way, this is a secure area. Be cautious," or something like that. It's not a big deal. Um, so the next thing that we're gonna do, and I'm just trying to get your window back up, is we are going to go into team, and let's take a look at what you have under your team profile. So what we're doing is we're going step by step in the settings of agencies for those of you who just joined in. So one thing that I want to make very clear to everyone is that you should never, ever, ever willy-nilly give out agency admin access to other people. You should never there is no situation where you should transfer agency ownership. I know that sounds stupid to say, but believe me, it's not stupid to say. So you should never transfer agency ownership, and you should only grant agency admin access to people that you really trust. You can give limited scope permissions to virtual assistants to work in specific sub accounts and restrict them from doing things. If someone tells you they need agency admin access, before you give it to them, I'm happy to have you reach out to me and I can give you my honest opinion as to whether or not they need it. Because most of the time the answer is they don't. In billing, this is an important area to note in wallet and transactions. So in wallet and transactions, you're going to have all of the information. This is where all of the demystification of billing comes into play under the detailed transactions section. So whenever you're questioning whether or not you're making money on SMS sends or emails, or you're wondering why it's costing $1 to send an SMS message, this is where you can find that information. So SMS messages are based on segment count, which is the size of the message. Bigger messages cost more. I had a customer that was sending like an essay to people in the first message, and he had over 1,000 insurance sales reps sending out this essay message and was wondering why his Twilio bill was like 10 grand by the end of his like boot camp day. And it was because they were sending out $1 per text message. So just be cautious with things like that. You can find that information in detailed transactions. Phone integrations, for those of you who are new HighLevel users, it's automatically going to enable Lead Connector in all of your accounts, which if you go to agency settings, it will just say learn more about LC Phone. Lead Connector is Twilio. So when you're talking about the difference between Twilio and Lead Connector, they are synonymous. It is just a pretty interface for it's just a pretty interface for Twilio that's natively integrated into HighLevel. So the next thing that I want to talk about is in here under sub accounts, you can enable and disable number intelligence, which is an added charge. So these are all things that you need to be aware of when you are going through different settings in the sub accounts, is there are certain things that charge and others don't. Under account creation, allow users to submit HTTP registration if rebilling is disabled. If you are not doing SaaS and you are just signing people up for sub accounts, or you're on the 297 plan, then this setting will by default be off. What this means is every time someone submits an A2P, it charges the agency for the A2P and also charges the user. But if rebilling is disabled, you don't want that user to be able to just send A2Ps in willy-nilly. So this is a protection feature for the agencies. You have not gotten out of the trial yet. So because you haven't gotten out of the trial, it will not, what do you call it? Allow you to change this. Email notifications, this is important. You want to add email addresses of your agency owners for notification of the agency owners and or like a support system, for example, for any issues that come from the sub or the phone account. Because what happens is if your sub accounts shame, do bad things with their text messages or their phone calls, you are the one who is on the hook for their actions. Essentially, at the end of the day, the buck stops with the agency owner. So it puts your account in jeopardy. So you need to be very reactive and be able to monitor those situations a little bit more proactively.
Do we get
Uh,
like notifications or anything like that if they start abusing their account?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Before it's too late?
Generally speaking, yes.
Well, it depends on what they do.
Yeah, it really depends on it, like exactly like he said, it really depends on what they do. But generally speaking, you do get notifications. So, and they'll send you a warning and then they'll suspend the sub account's account and you have to go to high level support to get it unsuspended. So don't think that it's just going to unsuspend itself. You do have to click the blue question mark in the top right and actually engage with the high level support. To answer Josie's question, the HLPT team, as well as the Extendly team and any other third party support provider, do need administrative access. We have contracts and agreements in place that you don't typically have in place with most virtual assistants or kind of like fly by night freelancers. So, but HLPT does absolutely need admin access. And that's because we administrate all of your accounts, not just one sub account. Email services is always the fun one to get started with, which you do not have a dedicated domain just yet. So we're going to set that up super quick.
Okay.
Dedicated domains are really important on the agency level because this is the email that your users will get from for like password resets, two-factor authentications, things like that. So if your dedicated domain on the agency level is not set up, eventually they will stop. Yes, it needs to be different on the agency level than the sub account. So for this one, I would do like agency dot conversion agency.co. And I would hit add and verify. Now, one thing I'm going to do really quick is we are going to make one minor pit stop in a place called Cloudflare. Oop. Julia, do you have a Cloudflare account already?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
I'm
cool. We're
familiar
going to
with
sign
it.
you up for one really quick. It's totally free.
Can we do it real quick?
I recommend everyone do this. So the reason why is HighLevel natively integrates with Cloudflare, and it makes DNS like all these challenges you were having the other night configuring your domains. It's one click of a button using Cloudflare.
That's sticky.
So
Should
if
I
you want to
use, yeah, should I use my agency email or should I use my like regular personal email or does it matter?
use your regular personal email because you don't want to get locked out of Cloudflare if your agency domain expires.
Okay, just log in with Google then.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
The internet's been weird today. It's not just you, I promise.
I know it was really bad yesterday. We had storms and stuff though. Yeah.
Perfect. And I will take back over from here.
Take it away.
And what we are going to do is we are going to put in your agency domain, which is conversion. If I click in the right box.
Conversionagency.co.
Yep. And we're going to do a quick scan for DNS records. This is going to suck in all the DNS records that you've already published, so you don't have to do it a second time. You never need to upgrade past free. Cloudflare is totally free. Keep it free. They do this because it helps to protect the internet, and the more people that work with Cloudflare, the more protected the agency is, or the internet is. You always want to turn proxying off. Proxying means that it's going to route the traffic through Cloudflare, special servers, back to HighLevel. HighLevel already does this. HighLevel has an enterprise agreement with Cloudflare, so we're just using it as a DNS manager. That's it. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a quick change to the name servers in Namecheap, which are the telephone book that the telephone book that your domain is registered at. So it will still exist. It will still exist as being registered at Cloudflare. I mean at Namecheap, but be it will be served from Cloudflare. So I gotta remember how to do this in Namecheap. Just give me 2 seconds. Domain. And I don't think it's under advanced DNS. Oh, name servers right there. So we're gonna go to custom DNS. We're going to drop in those name servers. This is the hardest thing that you're going to have to do all day long, is drop in 2 links into whatever DNS provider you have after setting up a free Cloudflare account, which Barney steps you through the entire process. Now where's the...
Oh, it's the check mark on the right? Oh, no.
Yep. I'm blind. Okay, cool. So now we'll give that a second to take effect. So we're going to hit continue. And while we're doing that, let me look at my meeting stuff real quick. Nora, are you there?
Hi, yeah.
Awesome. So everyone, I want to introduce Coach Nora. So Nora will be joining us for the next foreseeable future as our co-host on our open troubleshooting and QA call. Nora has an insane background of customer service and troubleshooting experience in the HighLevel ecosystem. She is an absolute rock star. I should know. I worked with her for a couple years, and we were constantly in competition over who could get more positive satisfaction ratings. She is the queen of green thumbs, as we call her. But Nora is an amazing asset. If you have questions, she'll be in the community and she'll be available to help everyone as well. She is located, you're in where in Pakistan?
I'm high in the mountains, Mario.
So somewhere chilly in Pakistan, but she was educated in the West and is just an amazing human all around. So get to know Nora, ask her questions, and lean on her for advice. If she doesn't know it, chances are I don't know it. So we are going to just wait for this automatic configuration to take place. And while we're doing that, we will go ahead and duplicate this tab. And there's a couple more areas. We're almost done with the basic agency configuration. We're going to focus on the agency aspect today, and then we'll focus on the rest of the sub account configurations later on. So custom menu links are a big one. So this is if you want to put a special link on the left-hand side. So let's say you have a community or you have a coaching course or something like that, you would add a custom menu link on the left-hand side. You can select your icon, your name. It does not, unfortunately, work with ChatGPT. I really wish it did. So you could put custom GPTs in. You have to use a platform called FormWise, but ChatGPT doesn't work in the left sidebar. That's a ChatGPT thing. When you go to connect your Stripe account at the agency level, this is if you're on the 497 plan. Great job. You've already got your agency connected, your Stripe account connected. So what that's going to do is allow you to take payments from SaaS and rebill people for their usage. So super important that you have that set up. And then the next area is API keys. These are getting removed. These are old API keys. Never give these out, ever. Unless you have, like, you're working with a HighLevel certified partner is the only time that I would say you want to give these out. And generally speaking, they'll have a whole process and document behind how you would do that. API keys, essentially, to answer Josie's question, no. You want to have one Stripe account for your agency and your agency's sub account. They need to share Stripe accounts. The reason they share Stripe accounts is because the actual sign up and payment happens at the sub account level, but the management of the accounts and the provisioning of the accounts happens at the agency level. So sub account pays, agency manages. So you need to have them, you need to make sure that you have them both connected to the same Stripe account. It will not work if you do not connect them both to the same Stripe account. Compliance, you don't need HIPAA compliance unless you are working with doctors and medical offices. If that's the case, please reach out to me. I'll give you some pointers. HIPAA is kind of my jam, so I'm happy to guide you in the right direction. Labs is the area where you can turn on beta features and you can turn off beta features. So I would recommend not turning on beta features until you check in the HighLevel community first, because that's where you're going to find out if they're going to break everything or not. And believe me, the beta features do on occasion break all of your stuff. So just keep that in mind. And that is the basics of setting up an agency. So as you can see, it's really not that hard. I'm quickly going to check because it's taking a minute for Cloudflare to show up because it's Namecheap, of course. I'm just going to quickly copy these DNS records. And in the meantime, Julia, let's start with you. Do you have any questions?
I think the only question I had was, okay, yes, I need to do my term. Okay, so I got stuck on this step for some reason. The import my SaaS config plan. I started to go through it, and then I got to a question that I wasn't sure on, and I stopped.
Okay, let me do this process
Yeah.
super fast. And then we will, so this is how you manually copy DNS records, guys. And this is just because propagation can take a minute. So what we're doing is, I need to delete these two. Come on. That's probably why it's not working.
Oh, sorry, I didn't make a type on my screen.
Yep.
Okay. Let's try to help too fast.
Oh, you're fine. The next thing we're going to do is just really quickly, that is And close this extra tab. That is a text record. So we're just going to drop in some text records. The reason that dedicated domains are so important is because this is what allows, and you don't ever want to use your base or root domain as a dedicated domain. It always needs to be a subdomain of your root domain, which means there needs to be 2 dots total in your URL. It should be word.domain.com, co, net, etc.
Now, is this stuff that we would have to set up for people who onboard with us?
Yes,
Unless we have you guys hired?
exactly. And that's one of the reasons why I recommend having um having users like sub accounts themselves also use Cloudflare, and taking the maybe 5 to 10 minutes to have them set up Cloudflare with their domain and getting familiar with doing that is because it's going to make the whole process significantly simpler.
Do you use Cloudflare for everything?
I do. I use Cloudflare for almost everything. I use Route 53 for some and DigitalOcean for some super specific stuff. But generally speaking, I use Cloudflare for everything. And you can't beat it. It's totally free.
Yeah.
There's actually a limit in GoDaddy and Namecheap and most of the other name server providers that you can only have so many DNS records per domain. Cloudflare does not have a limit. So if you have a bunch of subdomains, it's not an issue if you're with Cloudflare. It is an issue if you're with the other providers.
The other thing is buying the URLs is super easy on Cloudflare. It just makes everything.
Yeah, it is. And they're very affordable as well. Cloudflare support's amazing. I mean, like I said, I use Cloudflare for pretty much everything. I manage probably close to 500 domains now. It used to be over 1,000. And Cloudflare is my preferred provider. Okay. And now we can come back in here. We should be able to hit verify records. And what we're going to do is hit verify domain. And this is going to take a second. So while we're waiting for this, it shouldn't take that long. But if this fails the next time, then we'll just go ahead and check out your SaaS configurator issue, and then we can come back to this later.
Does it matter that I just bought the domain yesterday? Like,
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. It's pretty instant when it comes to registration nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah, so if I go to what's my DNS.net and I do conversionagency.co, if I spelled it properly, yeah, it's just taking a minute to resolve. It's a Namecheap thing.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but it is set up to use the custom name servers. Let me
Okay.
just make sure we're on the right domain. Conversion agency. Yep, we're all good there. I don't see any glaring issues. It just, like I said, it can just take a minute for it to populate. So everything else looks pretty hunky-dory. So let's go ahead and troubleshoot your SaaS issue really quick. So let's go to SaaS configurator.
Yes.
Come on, SaaS
I know
configurator.
it's like painfully slow. So where was I in here? Was it advanced settings? Security configure. Maybe I don't remember what it was. It was number 15, I think is what it was, or 16. I got. $14.
Okay, so importing the SaaS config plans and setting up your sales page. Let's do that next. So let's go back into conversion agency and I want to go to the sub account.
Yeah, I didn't know if I wanted it to be. I got something confused in my head. The SaaS account and the lead connector. I didn't realize lead connector was Twilio, but now that makes sense because that's all like phone number stuff. And then SaaS is completely different. Okay.
Yes. So what you're going to do is go to payments. Is your Stripe account linked up to this sub account as well?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so we'll find out in a second. We're going to go to products and we're going to go ahead and delete this product out because it's going to re-add all of the products. And what we want to do is import from Stripe. We're going to add in each one of these plans. Are you charging a setup fee?
I was going to, yes.
Of how
Most
much?
people? Do most people?
I don't personally anymore.
I can always edit this later on, right?
Yes.
Okay, so just leave it at 0.
Okay, so we're going to import that price. And what we would do is we're going to go through one by one. You want to turn off included in store, which automatically turns it off. You can come down here to the add another price. And you can will it not let you?
I don't know. I was struggling in here for some reason.
Yeah, hold on one second. SaaS configurator gets weird with products. Let me save this really quick. Cancel out of here. And I think it's going to make you do, I think it makes you do one by one. It's been a while since I set up a SaaS plan. Yeah, it makes you do one by one.
Okay,
So,
so just hit the import
well,
button again for each option.
yep. Just hit the import button for each one. And then you're going to want to clear out your entire list of importable products. And you want to do this only for the ones that say agency.
Okay.
So do you see how it merged the two prices together?
I do.
So when you click Stripe price, there's the agency plan next to it. These are the ones you want to import. That way, if you have an existing Stripe account, you don't, and you have like a bunch of products you've created previously, you don't necessarily want to import those unless you have a reason to. You want to import the ones that say agency because the ones that say agency are the ones that are responsible for crafting the SaaS plans. Something to keep in mind is SaaS mode does not create accounts in test mode. So when you're trying to test your funnel for payments, assume that it will work if you have the correct prices bound to the agency level. Test mode will allow you to test your funnel and your checkout redirection and all of that stuff. It will not allow you to test the creation of accounts. Otherwise, that would get real hairy real fast.
Okay, you're right. Okay, that makes sense.
All right, you are all imported and ready to go. So I am going to go ahead and go back and check and see if that DNS has propagated yet, and then I will take some questions. All right, it should be good enough for government work.
I think it was under email services.
Yep, I just had a momentary brain.
Okay, I wrote it down so I could just in case it doesn't work.
So we're going to go to dedicated domain and IP, and you'll see that there's a red SSL unknown. So we need to verify that until it turns green. So yeah, so you'll just want to keep hitting this button until they all turn green. They will turn green in probably about an hour.
Okay.
And it's
you're
not,
are you in agency mode or you're in sub account, right?
I'm in agency mode
You're in
currently.
agency, okay.
Yep. So you can just leave this page open, just use other tabs, and then just keep coming back every once in a while and hitting verify records until it turns green.
Okay, I can do that.
I will try refreshing, Nora. Nope.
Not
No drinks for you.
not today. Not this minute.
Cool guys. So clearing cache will not fix it. This is purely a DNS resolution issue. So this is because it's still saying registrar as the other DNS provider for most of the servers around the world. California is where most of HighLevel servers are based, to my knowledge. So that's probably why. But it's all good. It will only take like literally under an hour for that to propagate. So in the meantime, I am going to kill your screen share and I am going to take some questions. So feel free to raise your hand using the react button and let's take some questions. Josie, I know you have a question.
Yes, that's why I turned the camera on. That my question is not really regards this. My question is with payment options. I went into the Stripe, what is it called? Stripe payment methods configuration, and I turned a lot of things off, like Klarna, Afterpay, and everything. But when I test the payment link, it's still showing those options.
That is
What
a
wrong?
Stripe problem, and it's a known
Okay.
Stripe problem.
Okay. Hey, do you know of a solution? It's
You have
okay.
to get in touch with Stripe support,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
they'll be able to facilitate turning that off.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
And next question from Matt Benoit.
So in watching you go through this, I realized that the people that I've gone through with Go High Level, like tech support, or I don't know what they're called, but the onboarding people, I got pulled in different directions where like they didn't put the API on the agency level, and then they did put it on the sub account level. So I have a feeling that my stuff may be messed up. Who should I reach out to as far as like getting like a second check within either Go High Level or someone at at your agency I can pay or whatever it is. I want to make sure I do this shit right so that I don't have to solve these problems later.
Yeah, so I will drop my link in the Zoom chat if I can remember how to type it. And all you have to do is book some time with me, and I would be absolutely happy to go through your account with you and just make sure everything's set up. It'll take about 15 minutes when I'm not having to explain every step of the way. It's usually a lot faster. Um, but yeah, that unfortunately happens a little too often. I'm actually working on an agency and sub account onboarding checklist that we're going to be offering to the community that you can use that just step by step. It augments HighLevel's documentation, and it actually is there are actual check boxes on a PDF that you check off with notes. So if you get stuck, you can just quickly ask me those questions. But that's like what these Monday calls are for. So let's get on my calendar this week, and then let's go ahead and get through that together.
All right, sounds good. I got most of what you did today. I had most of it taken care of, so I honestly don't even know that it would take the full 15 minutes. It's just correcting whatever is incorrect, and going from there. So, all right, I will do that, and thank you.
Awesome. Next up is Mel.
Hey, hey Mario. I just had a question about how to retrieve it. Retrieve the company ID. It's no longer on the agency account settings, and I know that you have like a mode to be able to inspect the
Yep.
actual profile, but I was not able to find the way to do that. I mean,
Yep.
I did, but I couldn't find the code.
Yep. Let me. Oh man, hold on a second. It doesn't let you right click and
And
copy the information.
then inspect.
So no, it doesn't let me copy this command out of the console. So go
Oh,
ahead and share your screen.
okay.
For those of you who want to stick around, I have some time, so I'm happy to chat with you guys a little bit further. But if you need to drop off, totally understood. I appreciate everyone who joined in today. We're gonna take Ishmael's question real quick. So right click inspect. And then in the console, yep, right there at the very bottom, copy and paste what I put in the Zoom chat. And you need to hit type allow pasting. Now paste it. There you go. And hit enter.
Oh, is this it right here?
Hit enter. Okay, now it's that ID right there.
Got it. Thank you, man.
Yep, no problem, brother. So Justine has a question. Do we have a checklist for setting up the agency account and ready to sell sub account? My high level plan is 297 with the HLPT partnership. That is something that that I am actively developing and will be releasing to the whole community. So if you are not in the community.ghlcoaches.com, make sure and join in there because that's where I will be posting it. Also, all of these video replays and everything else will also get posted to the community via Zoom and my integration. So when you have questions, you can always refer back to these videos. Awesome, everyone. Julia has another question.
I got a question. I can't figure out how to raise my hand. But
For a doctor, I mean, be
I know it's
doctoring.
terrible. It's terrible.
Julia, real quick.
So if you go to agency and then sub accounts, and then I have my account listed as a sub account, if I click the three dots, do I want to convert this do I want to switch it to a SaaS?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so, but I thought in the directions it told me to
No,
do so.
because SaaS will charge you
Right.
for
Okay.
yourself, and
Yes.
you'll pay 3% for no reason.
Okay, that's what I thought, but for some reason it was in the document, so my brain just okay. So doctor, if you go to React, it's the raise hand is in there.
It's not.
Oh,
There it is now. Okay.
I know it's hidden. I feel like it's in a weird spot. Mario, thank you so much for going through my account.
absolutely. It was a pleasure.
Can
What's
you
up, Doc?
tell? Yeah, can you tell me what you did with that dude with the code? I missed. I was looking at something else and I missed it.
Yeah, so what it is he needed to find the company ID for using the integration for N8N.
Oh, okay.
And so there's a special command that you run in the browser that looks up the company ID in what's called the view object, VUE.
Yeah. I know the view object. I knew where you were. I just didn't know exactly what you did. All right. Last Friday I told you that I want to get that shipping thing done, and
Yep.
I am not able to actually meet any of your appointments during the time you have appointments open. And I need to get that done before Wednesday. Is there a time that you can?
Yeah. Are we friends on Facebook?
I'm in the Slack channel.
I don't. Yeah. So I'll drop my Facebook. That's a little bit easier sometimes. Or my WhatsApp. Because I have like 9 Slack channels. But
Understandable.
so that's my personal Facebook link. Feel free to add me and just message me there. We'll find some time off hours. I'm happy to help. So.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you everyone for joining in today. If you're following us on YouTube or Facebook, again, make sure and join https://community.ghlcoaches.com. Get signed up at regularghlcoaches.com, and you will get all of the invites and meeting links. Go ahead, Ishmael. We got one more question. Mel?
Sorry. I was just wondering, I seem to have some issues with when I'm trying to connect. And I don't know, maybe I just didn't connect my domain correctly. Here, maybe I'll try to share my screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that okay? Okay. Can you see my screen?
It is sharing, waiting.
Yeah, sorry, this is like the slowest
Shenanigans.
computer ever. Is it sharing yet?
Nope.
No. Okay. Now?
Still waiting.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I don't know.
What issue are you having?
Well, basically what's happening is it looks like my home page is hooked up, but then when I go to my about page, when I'm over in like my navigation and I go into the about us and then I try to like configure it to go to a page, but the about us page isn't there, so I can't connect it.
Oh, now we're shared.
Oh, can you see?
I see myself. It's
see all of us.
really laggy.
Yeah, I don't think that it's going to work. So,
If you have some time, I dropped my link in the Zoom chat. Feel free to book with me and we can troubleshoot it together privately when you have a little bit more space.
yeah, I just think it's like there's probably too many people on the call, but yeah, I don't know.
Yep, no worries.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right, guys. Well, thank you all so much. I will see all of you tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We have about 10 coaching calls this week. So make sure and sign up and take a look at what calls, pick and choose what you'd like to attend. And this is an awesome way to get in touch with HighLevel and get to know your inner HighLevel self. So take care, everybody. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mario.